January 2nd, 1777 AD, the Battle of Assunpink Creek. On January 2nd, 1777 AD, the United States Continental Army, led by General George Washington, defeated a combined force of Hessian and British soldiers at the Battle of Assunpink Creek. The British and Hessian army was led by Lord Cornwallis. He was about to head back to England on leave, but was ordered to lead 5,000 soldiers to retake the town of Trenton. He also brought along 28 cannons. Washington decided to defend the town of Trenton and ordered his 6,000 soldiers to build earthen fortifications to protect his 40 cannons along Assunpink Creek and Bridge, which was located southeast of the town of Trenton. He also sent out a small force to delay the advancing British army led by Colonel Edward Hand. His soldiers hid in a forest a few miles away from Trenton in an area known as 5 Mile Run. He ordered his soldiers to use hit-and-run tactics against the British and Hessian soldiers, firing at them while the enemy fought conventionally, using a formal battle line to fire back at the Patriots, who hid behind trees, rocks, and other natural camouflage. This strategy worked for a while, confusing the British and Hessians who thought they were being surrounded by Washington's entire army. This plan soon failed as the attackers fixed bayonets and flushed the panicked American defenders out of the forest. They did not know how to fight against a well-trained professional soldier armed with a bayonet, and they soon fled to the safety of the American defensive lines. When Washington saw the fleeing soldiers running towards the bridge above Assunpink Creek, he ordered them to fall back behind the American cannons and prepare to fire at the charging British and Hessian soldiers who had been chasing them. The British and Hessians charged across the bridge but were shot at by cannon and musket fire. They regrouped, formed columns, and charged again for a second time, but they were riddled with cannon fire and musket balls. The frustrated and angry attackers regrouped again and tried to cross the bridge into Trenton a third time, but they were greeted with grape shot. One witness said the bridge looked red as blood with the killed and wounded and their redcoats. Lord Cornwallis arrived in the town of Trenton with the main bulk of his soldiers and saw the slaughter at Assunpink Creek and ordered a war council with his officers to decide on whether or not to continue an attack on the American patriots. General William Erskine wanted to attack the American position, saying, "If Washington is the general I take him to be, his army will not be found there in the morning." General James Grant said that the Americans had no way to successfully retreat, and his soldiers were tired, and it was best to strike them in the morning after his men rested. Lord Cornwallis didn't want to wait until morning and decided that it would be best to attack Washington's troops at nightfall, but decided to wait until the morning. He said, "We've got the old fox safe now. We'll go over and bag him in the morning." The British army moved out of town and camped outside north of Trenton. Washington ordered his artillery commander, Henry Knox, to occasionally fire his cannons toward Trenton to keep the British army on their toes. He then called a war council with his officers and decided to retreat under the cover of nightfall to the city of Princeton. He ordered a few hundred soldiers along with 2 cannons to remain and ordered them to act like they were digging in and preparing for battle. By sunrise, they pulled out as well. When the British army marched towards Assunpink Creek the next day, they found out that the enemy snuck out during the night. Lord Cornwallis was right. He should have attacked the Americans that night. His soldiers suffered over 350 casualties compared to the Americans' less than 100, but the two would meet again the very next day at the Battle of Princeton.